The Matrix universe has far too many unanswered questions, so we've been very busy trying to answer as many of your questions as we can. Some of your questions lead directly to what could happen in Matrix 4, and some made us question if what we saw in the previous movies happened as we remembered them. Today we're going to be answering, how did Neo learn about the word Matrix? Could Sati be a villain in Matrix 4? And how did the Oracle manage to hide the fact that she is a program for so long? Welcome to Matrix Explained.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Our first question comes from Derek DKF. How Neo has knowledge about the name Matrix? When Neo met Trinity for the first time, she already knew plenty about him.
I know what you've been doing. I know why you hardly sleep, why you live alone, and why night after night you sit at your computer.
Neo was a skillful hacker who had a soft spot for Trinity and Morpheus, while everyone else considered them criminals. In the beginning, Neo didn't know what the Matrix was. All he knew was that people were fighting against the system, people who he admired. We don't know if Neo had read the word Matrix before Trinity hacked his computer, but we do know that from that point on, his interest has peaked. The phrase "the Matrix has you" that Trinity sent to his computer with the message "follow the white rabbit" eventually led him to meet Morpheus.
But you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind.
Neo already suspected that something was off with reality. There's also the possibility of Neo reading about the Matrix in the dark web, since the Red Pills also use the dark web to gather intelligence. The next question comes from Servant of God. Will Sati be the villain in Matrix 4? A very interesting question because Sati could be one of the most powerful programs within the simulation. Sati, the program born of the love between two other programs, Rama and Kamala, and the one who caused the Oracle to lose her shell.
Because the child is important. I can't tell you why, but I believe that one day the child will change both our world and your world forever.
As mentioned in previous videos, we believe that when Smith assimilated Sati, he changed her code, the same way Neo changed his code in the first movie. It is possible because Sati had no purpose or powers, thus why her parents smuggled her into the Matrix to save her from being deleted. When she was assimilated and afterward cured of the Smith virus, she gained the ability to change the Matrix. She made the sun rise in honor of Neo's sacrifice.
Look!
Just look at that. Beautiful. Did you do that?
For now.
Sati was under the Oracle's protection because she is important, but we don't know why she is important. It is still a mystery. The return of Neo could mean that the truce was broken, and a new threat may have appeared, one more dangerous than Smith or the anomaly. Maybe the Oracle lost control of Sati, and the change that she was to bring to both worlds is their destruction. We've theorized that actress Priyanka Chopra will play Sati in Matrix 4, and while the thought of Sati being a villain is interesting, be aware she could end up being the complete opposite. What if Sati becomes the savior and humanity are the villains this time around? If there is one thing we know about the Wachowskis, is that they don't like to repeat themes or tropes, and having mankind be the villains opposed by a machine-born savior would be different and could make the audience question who are the real villains. And our last question comes from Stephen Giddy. How the Oracle managed to fool humanity for so long, and how the Red Pills never suspected her to be a program. This is a tricky one, because there is vague information about the Oracle in the first film. There are at least two possible explanations. One is that the Red Pills never thought she could be a program. They probably saw her as a human with supernatural powers, maybe even a potential. Or two, they knew she was a program, but didn't think that it was important to note. It didn't matter. Before Neo met the Oracle, Morpheus mentioned that she has been with them since the very beginning. This sets the Oracle right at the start of the Zion Resistance. We are not sure of when the Resistance began the crusade to free humans from the Matrix, but we suspect that it was early in the 6th Matrix cycle. Another scene that references how far back they knew the Oracle comes from when Morpheus talks about the previous one.
After he died, the Oracle prophesied his return, and that his coming would hail the destruction of the Matrix, end the war, bring freedom to our people. That is why there are those of us who have spent our entire lives searching the Matrix, looking for him.
As Morpheus mentioned, the Oracle prophesied that the One would return soon after he passed. We believe that the previous one met the first inhabitants of Zion. So taking into account that each Matrix cycle lasts about 100 years, that means that the Oracle must have been influencing events for at least 80 to 90 years. The Oracle may have indeed been present since the beginning. So it is possible that the Red Pills already suspected her of being a program, but the previous one told his subjects to trust her. There is also a chance that the Oracle changes her body or shell in secrecy, and the Red Pill saw these new Oracles as successors. However, there is still doubt. Neo discovered that the Oracle was a program when he saw her code, but before that, he didn't have any suspicions about her, nor was he told that she could be a program by anybody from Zion. Therefore, it is unlikely that the Red Pills knew she was a program. Also, remember when Morpheus met the Oracle in Matrix Revolutions? How he seemed upset and confused by her new appearance?
Who are you? I'm the Oracle. I wish there was an easy way to get through this, but there ain't.
After everything that has happened, how can you expect me to believe you?
Well, this is because Morpheus no longer trusted the Oracle or her prophecies. So which answer is the correct one? Well, we believe that the one before Neo told the newly awoken citizens of Zion to trust the Oracle, who may have changed her appearance before to avoid suspicions about her age. The Red Pills may have had their suspicions at first, but the information and guidance she provided them were too valuable for them to ignore, and so they had no choice but to trust her. In the end, the Red Pills' hope was used against them. But do you agree? Could Sati be the villain of Matrix 4? How was the Oracle able to fool the Resistance? For Matrix Explained, please leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for visiting the Desert of the Real.